All right, everyone, and welcome to the Sunny Days Media Football Show, Wild Card Wrap-Up Edition. We had a lot of action this weekend.
What a weekend!
First of all, Jerry, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Doing good.
How do
feeling
you do
good.
on our bets?
Not well.
Not
well. We lost. We got screwed out of a couple of parlays here, but that's my fault for taking parlays. We all know that during the day, it's probably better off just to go big and heavy on single winners. That's the name of the game here. I got screwed by Patrick Mahomes. All I needed was one more pass to Isaiah Pacheco, and I would have won like $50. But that didn't happen. The over missed in the Lions game, but that's okay because the Lions won. They didn't cover either. But like we talked about, you don't need to cover this at the playoffs. So all in all, not a great weekend. Not a great weekend across the board for my people. I want to say we collectively went about 5 and probably 50 across 4 of us.
Okay, that's
pretty bad.
Better than 0 and 50.
That's true.
I went down 260 on Sunday, and I went up to 200 yesterday. So not terrible. Down $60 essentially across wildcard weekend. I guess I'll take that. Not a very good gambler. But now I wish our buddy, I'm sure he'll chime in at some point. It's Stevie Mac.
It's a Tuesday morning.
It's a Tuesday morning. That's true. But and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry in advance. But Jerry, I have a question for you. After everything we've seen this weekend, after everything we've done this weekend, the beers drank, the games watched, the picks thrown. My friend Jerry, how about them Cowboys? How we feeling, baby? How we feeling, Dallas? How does it feel? How does it feel, you fucking morons? You morons. How the fuck do you go down to the 7th seed in the Packers? How? Packers have been up and down all fucking year. Now, I might be putting my foot in my mouth because we may see them again. There's a possibility. But
the Packers.
You're the big bad fucking Cowboys. You beat every team at home except for Detroit by what? 20 points? You score an average of 40. Now you almost got to 40. You put up 32, but along the way you gave up 48. Dak Prescott. Let's read that line. Let's read that stat line, shall we? Dak Prescott, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Did he fumble? He didn't fumble.
No fumbles.
That's fucking awful.
41 for 60. This guy was throwing the ball. He might need Tommy John surgery. But yeah, that's wild, man. I can't believe it. If you rewind over to the Friday show, so whatever night we did the show, I called this. I saw this coming a mile away. We've been saying this all season long. The Dallas Cowboys are not a good football team. They were fraudulent from the get-go. Sure, they were beating the shit out of teams at home, minus the Detroit Lions, like we spoke about. But really, from the jump, we knew how this was all going to play out. And here it is, right in front of our very eyes. Now you got to ask yourselves, who's going where? Because Belichick's on the market. You got to imagine Mike McCarthy's gone.
Mike McCarthy's gone, but I can't imagine Belichick goes over to Dallas. I mean, really, just because Belichick is a guy that needs total control. We know that's not something that Jerry Jones likes. But let's go back to this game. First of all, you were the 2 seed, and you shouldn't have been the 2 seed. I think America knew that. Detroit certainly knew that. Dallas, if you got some brains, which I'm sure you do, think you knew that too. You got away with one.
Oh, no, they did not. No, they did not.
On Saturday night.
If you ask any Dallas Cowboy fan whether or not they deserve to be the 2 seed, they would tell you straight to your face, absolutely. Absolutely. They're delusional. They're as delusional as us Yankee fans are. That's just how it goes.
And all I thought of was that scene in Casino when they catch the 2 idiots cheating. And the cops bring that guy into the room, and they break out the saw, and they go, "Cheaters justice." That's all I thought of. And listen, Cowboy fans, I know it ain't your fault. That Brad Allen made a terrible call, threw a flag when he shouldn't have. I get it, but I don't feel sorry. I don't feel sorry for the most obnoxious fan base probably in American sports. And this is coming from a Mets fan, can't stand the Yankees, but Cowboys fans, you motherfuckers take the crown every year. Every fucking year. This is our year. Get the fuck out of here. It hasn't been your year since what? 1995? fuck out of here.
You got to give some flowers here to the Green Bay Packers. I know it's going to be tough for you as a Lions fan, but if you look at the stat lines, offensively, Aaron Jones rushed for 118, Romeo Dobbs at 150 yards in the air, and then you go over to Jordan Love, 16 for 21, 270, 272, three touchdowns, no interceptions. He wasn't even sacked once. So the Green Bay Packers, I don't know if it was a matter of the Dallas Cowboys not showing up to play or the Green Bay Packers showing up to play. And you focus and you shift over to the Dallas offense here. Tony Pollard was held to under 60 yards. We talked about Dak's stat line already. CeeDee Lamb only had 110. Gallup had 103. Other than that, no one was really playing offense for them, and they couldn't get anything going. So hats off to the Green Bay Packers.
That's my boy Bucky's. Chris, he's a Wisconsin boy, cheesehead. Yes, Chris, NFC North, we up, and you know what? Hopefully, we see you in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I would
Hopefully,
love to. I would love to see a run here. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, hats off to the Packers. They walked into a violent crowd. They walked into certainly a home field advantage for Dallas, and they played perfect football. Now, they almost kind of let Dallas back in late.
Yeah.
Because if you're watching that game, I think Dallas gets the ball back. I want to say they had at least 2 timeouts. It was 48-32. There's about 2 and change left in the game after that punt. So you still need 2 straight touchdowns with 2-point conversions, but it is possible. And so that's the only, I guess, downside. That's the only flaw you could have found in the Packers game. They played perfect. They did what they were supposed to do. They played perfect football. They didn't turn the ball over. They took advantage of Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense, giving it back to them, scoring on those drives. That's what you're supposed to do. That's playoff football, man. You cannot turn the ball over. You look at this Cowboys game. Whatever Dak had, he had 2 interceptions, right? Did anybody else fumble
2
in this game?
interceptions.
No, it looks like no one else fumbled. But
No.
that's it right there, the turnover margin. Why was that Rams-Lions game so close? Because both teams were scoring and nobody was turning the ball over. That's crucial. You cannot turn the ball over if you want to play playoff football and you want to succeed at it. Overall, solid game. Not the best of the weekend, in my opinion. It was
No, far from it.
a heavy blowout. Do you got anything else on this, or we'll move on?
No, honestly, I didn't really get to watch much of this game because I was on the train home from the Rangers game. So this is the one game I missed all weekend.
Okay. Let's get on Browns at Texans. I'll be the first to admit.
Yeah. Oof,
I'll eat some crow on this, and I
Same.
know you have to too.
Yep.
We thought Cleveland was going to come in and play sturdy defense, and you know what? First of all, hats off to C.J. Stroud, rookie year, first playoff win. Hats off to D'Amico Ryans. That guy, it's either him or Stefanski. Either one of those guys deserve Coach of the Year. But I'm really leaning toward D'Amico Ryans. This is his first time doing it. Not like he's been a coordinator for decades. I mean, he was just playing in the NFL not long ago. And he's led a team of no names to the divisional round. That's phenomenal.
And
that
shame
is
on me.
Phenomenal.
Shame on me for going against the grain here all season long. All season long. Your boy Jerry has been high and mighty on the Houston Texans. Week after week, pick after pick. They won me a decent amount of money all season long, and they've been nothing but great. They went through that little bit of a low, not going to lie, lost some hope, but then he came back, and they got right back to where they were before he got hurt. And going into this game, yeah, I drank the juice. I watched all those Joe Flacco hype videos. I said he could do this. He's got one more in him. Let's go. It's January. He's Joe Flacco. He's elite. We know what he can do. And no, he just came out there, and I don't know if it's a case of the Browns laying an egg or the Texans coming out just hungry as can be. Because, we talked about blowouts before with the Cowboys Packers game. This was a blowout, so much so that Davis Mills came in, and it's like the Packers almost let the Cowboys back in. This was just foot on the gas, start to finish for the Houston Texans, and I couldn't believe it. It wasn't working. Flacco didn't have it. They couldn't get anything going on the ground between Hunt and Ford. It just wasn't working.
Good for them. Good for the
Yeah,
Texans.
hands
And
down, good for the Texans.
Lamar is going to win MVP, and he should win MVP. I guess I wouldn't dispute that. But my only counter is the Texans haven't won a game without C.J. Stroud, and
That
when
makes you
he's
an
there,
MVP.
they win.
That
And
makes
now
you
he
an MVP.
what?
That makes you the
Well,
MVP.
yeah, it makes you an MVP when now you won a playoff game. We know how hard these games are to win. We know how hard these are to come by. And now they're rolling into Baltimore next weekend. And I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I think Baltimore is going to win. I wouldn't bet my fucking house on it. I'll tell you that much.
I wonder what
The spread's 9.
the lines are out.
The lines are out. I'm leaning toward taking the Texans spread on this, honestly.
9's a lot of points.
I mean, they could most certainly blow out Houston, as they should. That's why the line is as high as it is. But I don't know. Definitely a game. Maybe I tease. Maybe I tease down to.
I don't hate that because I don't hate a teaser play on Saturday at all between the Texans. Just take a dog teaser, take a dog 6-point teaser with the overs are a little high, but the Texans I got Texans at 8.5 and I got the Packers at 9.5. So if you tease that up a little bit, I think you can definitely win a ticket there.
Yeah. They just look good top to bottom in that game. 45-14. Kept the Browns offense at bay, which the Browns, not too much offense anyway. They're a defensive-led team, which leads me to my next thing, and I tweeted it out. Don't ever fucking tell me that defense wins championships. Great teams win championships, not great defenses. Great defenses, just like a great offense, could help get you there. But what did we just watch?
Yeah.
This was the number 1 ranked by far and away the best defense in the National Football League. And what did it do?
The New York
Houston.
Jets were ranked number 1, but that's neither here nor there.
Whatever. The Browns, depending on what you're looking at, the Browns are 1 or right behind 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay? 45-14. You go down to Houston, a team that snuck into the playoffs. 45-14. You give up 45 fucking points. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
A home game, though. You got to think. I mean, you can't sit here and say that the Texans don't have the most ravaged fan base, not only in all the football, in all the NFL, but all of Texas. You know, you go up the road, 8 hours to Dallas, and just leaps and bounds significantly better there as far as home field advantage goes. But a home playoff game does mean a lot. You know, especially for a team like this where, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if they necessarily played a home playoff game in a long time. I could be really wrong about that. They probably had one back when Deshaun was there.
Yeah, I was going to say 2017, 2016, something like that. The Bill O'Brien era, I think, was the last time.
It's still almost 10 years ago at this point now. So it's been a little bit since they got a taste of home playoff games. So, good for them for showing up for their fans. I'm happy for them. I do think the bus stops here. I don't think they get past the Ravens, but still this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the future for the Houston Texans. They're only getting started here, and they're only going to get better. So
there is some danger to a team like Houston because they're a team that's playing with house money right now. They've got literally nothing to lose. They exceeded expectations, getting to 9 wins. So being at 10 now 11 wins, winning a playoff game, going to play the number one, what more could you want if you're Houston? We got nothing to lose. There is zero pressure on us. All of the pressure is on that other sideline. Okay, Harbaugh's brother just won a national championship. Harbaugh wants another Super Bowl. Lamar wants playoff wins because if there's anything in this world at this point you could say about Lamar Jackson when you're talking down about him, it's his playoff record.
Yep.
It's what he's done in the playoffs, and it's not great. And it's not on him. I'm not saying it's all on him, right? Because I used to hear it as a Lions fan with Matt Stafford, his playoff record. I get it. So, but this is the pressure is on that side. And Houston, they're playing with house money. They're walking up to the poker table, and Uncle Randy just took 3 G's out of his pocket and said, "Go have fun, buddy." That's what they're doing. It ain't their money. They don't give a shit. If they lose, they lose. They're a team of 23, 24-year-old kids. They've never seen this before. So they're just going to go. They're going to sling it and have fun. C.J. Stroud, ball out, kid. Go out there and ball out.
Stevie Mack can conveniently tune it in after we cover the Cowboys game.
Oh, Stevie, how about them Cowboys, Stevie? Oh, you know what though? I will tell Stevie. I will say this about Stevie. Stevie's been saying this all season. Said they were going to walk into the playoffs and lay an egg. So I know he's not surprised. He's not happy. Stevie, jump in the comments and tell us what the next move is for the Cowboys. Are they going to fire McCarthy? Let us know here as we break down this next game. Dolphins at Chiefs. Fucking joke of a game. Dolphins were a disaster. Jerry,
you got to be on crack if you didn't see this coming. Anybody, and I mean anybody. Somebody in my handicap group chat took the Dolphins and was swearing about it. I'm like, dude, come on. Let's be real for a second here. Tua hasn't won. The Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in how many years, let alone in the cold. I think no, Tua's he didn't play in the playoffs last year, right? It was the backup. He was hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, you had to see this coming from a mile away. I certainly did. And I know I've talked about it, but again, just dominance across the board here. And as dominant as you can be in negative 14-degree weather. So hats off to the Chiefs. We saw this coming. I'd be scared. I think next weekend, Bills-Chiefs is going to be probably the best game on the slate as far as competitive football games go. Has every right to be that late game on Sunday. So That's something to look forward to.
You know that they're going to be fucking slobbing all over Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes in that broadcast. I think that's an NBC game. Chris Collinsworth is going to be fucking just sucking dick the whole game.
That's fine by me. I don't mind. I think both of those two quarterbacks deserve it. I think they're great to watch. They're awesome at their when somebody gets so good that you just hate them because they're being pushed so hard. That's not the case for me for both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I think both of them are able, they have my respect because I know what they're able, just week in and week out. I do not mind watching them. And it's weird to say about Josh Allen too, because that's a divisional rival for me. But it's just I just love what he's doing up in Buffalo.
With Josh Allen and the whole Bills team, you got to get this monkey off your back. I mean, we'll get into this as we get into the Bills game, but you got to get this monkey off your back. Right? The Chiefs are your Achilles heel every year, and you're always playing them in Arrowhead. Now you finally
you're
had
playing
the better
at home.
season.
Yeah, they're at Highmark.
Now you're playing them in Buffalo. Take advantage of this and ride this to the fucking Super Bowl if you're Buffalo. Because we say it all the time, the Buffalo at their best is better than 99% of this league. It's very difficult to beat the Buffalo Bills when they are playing their best football.
I wouldn't necessarily say they're a marginally better team than the Chiefs. They both had very similar records. In fact, they have the same record. And then I think the Chiefs.
But if you watch the Bills the past 6 weeks and you watch the Chiefs the past 6 weeks and see where both teams are trending, who's your money on? I mean, and it's in Buffalo.
As we saw last night, those those last 6 weeks kind of really matter here. We watched it with the Eagles just skidding on black ice. They couldn't stop, and they definitely couldn't stop last night. Now, on the flip side of the coin, the Buffalo Bills are just running with no expectations behind them. Josh Allen would say it over again. We're talking about a completely different game here, but just win or go home. That's the mentality these teams have, and that's the playoffs here. But yeah, back to the Dolphins Chiefs game.
Dolphins had no chance from the get-go.
Yeah,
no chance. Tyreek had that nice reception where he scored, and that was about it.
That was it. That was literally it. If you look at the offense, Tua only threw for 199. He didn't even break 200. Mostert only had 33 yards on the ground. Tua was right behind him with 25, so they couldn't really get anything going. Acne was a ghost. He wasn't even there. Tyreek only had 62 yards, so even that's a down day for him. And then you also look at Jalen Waddle, two catches for 31 yards. He's still very hurt, so he's going to need some time to get his bearings back for next season, hopefully. And then, I don't know if it was just a matter of them being banged up or just the cold or walking into Arrowhead and being intimidated or what. But there's just they did not show up for this game. We all saw it coming. That's what happens when you lose a crucial Sunday night Week 18 game and lose your home field advantage. Because they would have played the Steelers. If they would have played the Steelers in Miami, that would have been a completely different game. Completely different game.
Oh yeah, the Dolphins would be moving on. But that's not even so much a credit to the Dolphins in any way. I think that's just the Steelers were terrible. Should not have been in the playoffs. Period. Backdoor in. So And listen, the Steelers haven't. I guess we'll talk about this with the Steelers. Do you have anything else on this game?
No, not really. Other than it was cold and the Chiefs did what the Chiefs had to do.
Let's do Steelers at Bills. I'm going to start with this, man. Have the Steelers not met expectations over the past 6, 7 years? Yes.
They're winning.
But they're winning.
Can't take anything away from them. They have
Mike
a winning
Tomlin's
record.
never had a losing season. If you're the Steelers, shit or get off the pot with this guy. Either just get rid of him or give him a vote of confidence and extend him because he's got 1 year left on that deal.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to know where Steeler Nation is on this because you talk to every other fan base and they'll tell you that how they'd love to have Mike Tomlin. But then you talk to Steelers fans and you get mixed reactions. He's a really good head coach, but yet they've been mid since Roethlisberger left. I mean, part of me says if they could just figure out that quarterback position, maybe, because they've got a sturdy defense. It's not a bad defense they have back there. I mean, without T.J. Watt, it's certainly a different story.
The holes were shown. Yeah,
Right.
the holes are being shown. With the exception of that nose guard. I forgot his name, but he's a beast. Let me see if I can find his name. Hold on. I think he's number 62. Hold on.
Good podcasting right here.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, nope, there are no numbers on the box score. That's fantastic. I don't know. The Steelers have a nose guard that just. Oh, I think it might be Cam Hayward.
Isn't he D end? I don't
Nope,
remember.
not him. No, yeah, he's a defensive tackle. It might be him. I don't know, but they have a big motherfucker who just comes in
Cass
against
coming
the
in
run.
here. Steelers haven't won haven't won the last 6 playoff games. It's like that's nuts.
They got a big motherfucker who just comes in against the run, sits on top of the center, just waiting. We saw it a couple times. A couple times it worked, a couple times it didn't. But he was all like, there was a 4th and 1, I think it was, that the Bills got by the skin of their teeth, and it was because of him. He was just in there. So hats off to that guy whose name I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think for the Steelers and the Steelers fans and everything, I think it's just kind of you're sick of it being the same song and dance. You're well aware how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is, but he's been here for what, 15 years now, 10 years. Like he's been here for so long,
But he's never had a losing season.
But you're sick of it though. And if the Jets can walk out, and like if the Jets rolled out a team year after year and just always went in the green and just made playoff appearances, but never really got too far, I'm fine with that. But I guess when you come from the Steelers, who were pretty much, I believe they have the most, if not among the top 3 Super Bowls in the NFL history. Just they're a franchise of greatness, and that's just kind of what they're known for. And to be going through this kind of a lull, when you have expectations to be met, I understand. So I can see where they're coming from.
Let's give the Bills some flowers here.
Oh yeah.
First of all, credit to every. Oh, I think that's my water at the front door. I'll be right back. Jerry, talk Bills.
Yeah. So Josh Allen came out and did what Josh Allen had to do. He had 200 yards in the air. What did he have? He had 75 yards rushing and a touchdown. Not only just a touchdown, but a 50-yard touchdown run where if you watch that run, he was trying to slide. He thought about sliding. He said, nah, fuck it. I'm going to take this thing to the house. And he did. So God bless him for that. I watched a pregame interview he did with Bill Coward. And he was just saying, you know what? Sometimes you just got to get hit. You got to get ready to go. And that's the one thing you got to love about Josh Allen here. And I understand why Bills fans are so high on him the way they are. It's just because he's just such a dude. And that's the only way you can really describe it. Is he loves playing football. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He's not a prima donna. He's just always ready to go. And it sucks that I have to play him 2 times a year, but I support him from afar as much as I can. Going down the box score here, Dalton Kincaid had a great game, 59 yards, 3 catches. Stephon Diggs only had 52 yards, but 7 catches.
We got Chris here in the chat. Chris, chime in if you want a link and you want to jump in here. Let me know. Just letting you know there. Sorry, Jerry.
Oh no, go. It's all good. But yeah, I mean, if you really look at the box score here, they really spread the wealth. Nope. I mean, with the exception of Diggs with 7 catches, nobody really it wasn't like a one-person show here. And Dalton Kincaid had the only touchdown, I believe, in the. Oh no, that's a lie. Shakar had a touchdown in the air, and Dawson. So it was a tight end show as far as the end zone goes, which is good. And then, like I said, you missed my rant on Josh Allen's 50-yard run where he was just being dominant. It's just the I've been saying it again. Look out for the Bills. This is not a team you want to be playing. And when they don't have the expectations behind them, when they should be doing something, um, they're going to play their best football. Because I think when the bright lights get on them, they get a little bit nervous and they start to turtle a little bit. But now the Steelers, even though they're a 2 seed here, the Steelers are kind of still underdogs, at least in their mind, at least in the Buffalo fans' mind. Like they got lucky to secure that 2 spot. They're kind of, I don't want to say playing with house money here because they're not, but it's they have. I think this is their best chance they have to make a real run, probably since the overtime game when they lost to Flip.
Credit to everyone
champion.
digging out that stadium too.
Yeah,
and for the first time in a long time, smart move by the NFL, which we never say, especially on this show. Smart move by the NFL to move this game from whatever it was, Saturday, Sunday, over to Monday.
Sunday afternoon.
Very, very smart. Like, finally, you made a good move. That was the right thing to do. The conditions were a disaster. It was definitely life-threatening.
There's that, and also not to mention from a fan perspective, with it being the holiday weekend and the majority of people having off, the stacking of the games 2, 2, and 2 couldn't get better than that. 2 games each day. I was all about that. That was awesome.
I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL sees this and goes, you know what? This is what we're going to do.
That's the best way to utilize it was Super Wild Card Weekend is always on Martin Luther King Day weekend. I think, in my opinion, that's the best way to utilize it, especially because, like I said, it's a federal recognized holiday, so the majority of people do have off. One thing I do want to touch upon, though, is the officiating in this game. The Steelers did kind of get screwed here a little bit in times. There was not so much to I don't know exactly how the refs could have controlled it, but the snowball situation was a little ridiculous. I believe it was Pickens when he was in the end zone. There he is. Look who's here. Hello.
What up, gents?
I don't have a good background for this, so fuck it. We're gonna roll with it like this.
Just roll with it.
But the snowball situation, I think that was a little bit out of hand. You can't be having people throw snowballs while the play is going on at the receiver who's about to catch a touchdown pass. I think something should have been done about that. That's a little ridiculous. But other than that, I mean, hats off to the Steelers.
I didn't even see that.
Oh yeah,
I was in and out of that game. That's fucking funny as shit. But Chris just joined in. Yeah, go ahead.
Sound off, Chris. Go ahead. Say what you got to say, because I know you have a lot to say.
I'm thrilled right now. I mean, back-to-back days, this couldn't have gone any better for what I was hoping for. We get early exits from the Cowboys and the Eagles, and I know we're talking about the Steelers Bills right now, but I'm rejoicing right now. So as is every Giants fan. But yeah, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that Steelers even got this far. Like, we got to give props are due. And I'm not sure if you guys already talked about it because I just joined in a couple minutes ago in the comment section before I joined up here. But did Mike Tomlin literally just leave his press conference?
Yes, just walked off.
Yep.
Yeah. That's legendary. Shout out Mike Tomlin. I just want to say that right now.
The awareness of that journalist asking that question, like, this guy just lost a playoff game. That's what. Listen, you want to ask him that question? Ask him tomorrow. Ask him tomorrow when the players are cleaning out their lockers and he's had a night to sleep and whatever, collect himself. You do not ask a guy that right after he just lost a playoff game. I'm sorry. That was the wrong thing to do. That was disgusting.
I'd be shocked to see it, but I really don't. I do think I think next season might be his last year in Pittsburgh. It'd be weird to see him not there, but you got to think as far as, like,
I don't know if he ever coaches again. Not saying that he can't, but like, I don't know. Maybe he's just wiped. I wouldn't be surprised if
go to TV just like Howard did.
No, I don't see him going to TV. Although he'd probably be fucking fire on TV because he's got a good personality. I could see him taking a year or two off coaching and coming back, kind of like what McCarthy did. Walk away for a year, settle out, and then kind of just go from there, because this is the NFL. There's always going to be jobs available, and I guarantee you there's at least 20 franchises that would hire Mike Tomlin. At least 20.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. I mean, can we? How is he? Every single year, like, this Steelers team just doesn't seem like they have anything to show for. And he's always bringing them back from the dead, no matter if it's a slow start or a strong start. It doesn't really matter. They're always there in the conversation, whether it's 500 or a little bit above, and they're always sneaking to the playoffs. And that is a testament to Mike Tomlin and getting his squad ready to play, no matter who's at quarterback. I mean, we saw they strolled into the playoffs with Mr. Mason Rudolph?
Yeah.
Absolutely insane, absurd.
I honestly think it comes down to, I mean, I'm just recycling your words here, but I think it honestly comes down to him. Because if you think back to he had a locker room at one time with some of the biggest piece of shit personalities in the NFL at the time, which we later found out about with Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and then even you could throw Roethlisberger in there too, because he's not the greatest person in the world. And he kept it so under wraps that nobody really knew what was going on, and they were still winning football games. And he's not going to get the recognition that Belichick got because he doesn't have the accolades, so to speak. But again, never having a losing record, something to speak for, and just doing he's truly one of the better coaches of the 21st century.
And Pittsburgh is a big sports town. It is a big football and hockey town. Coaching in Pittsburgh ain't that much different than coaching in New York or Chicago.
Definitely.
It is a town with legitimate expectations every year. They've got the hardware behind it. But they're also they're an organization that's a steady ship. You're talking about an organization that's been around since I want to say the early 60s, and Tomlin's their fifth head coach. Right? They've had a lot of success, and they do not move on from people. They are very loyal. They are one of football's, pillars. When you talk about football families, I mean, it's Jerry Jones, it's the Rooneys, the Maras, to a degree the Fords, but they've been awful, with the exception of their daughter Sheila. So, that's not the way they roll. They don't fire guys. They don't throw people under the bus. Think about all of the turmoil and the nonsense Ben Roethlisberger put them through years ago, and they stayed by it for better or worse. Not saying he's a good guy, but they didn't, throw him to the wolves. And given it was a much more different time socially, but still, they are a team that sticks by their guys.
You're 30 years too late.
Okay. Oh, I got a frog in my throat. Partying a little too hard.
Smoking those Cubans.
Oh my God. Cigars every day. Let's move on.
Uh-oh.
Because I'm going to have a lot to say in the Lions game. So let's move on to Eagles at Bucks. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles, you fucking losers. Get the fuck out of here.
They didn't
losing
even
down in Tampa
football.
Bay.
They didn't want to play football at all.
They shut their drawers. All over.
In the first half, Troy Aikman threw the dagger in their heart and said, I forgot what he said word for word, but it was basically you can tell these people do not want to be out there right now. They just didn't want to play football. They couldn't. I don't know if the Buccaneers, doused themselves in Vaseline before the game started or what, but they couldn't make an open field tackle to save their lives. Everyone was bouncing off like pinballs. Credit where credit's due. Mayfield played his balls off. Awesome to see. Couldn't be happier for him. And just, fuck the Eagles, man. This was great.
Dude, Mayfield has completely reinvented himself. Credit to, and you know what? Who's not in the playoffs anymore? The Browns.
Yeah.
Who are they paying $200-something million to? A guy that hasn't played good football for them. Okay, shame on you, Cleveland. You wanted an adult in the room. There already was, and you walked on from him. He took you out of the depths of hell, the depths of fucking hell. You put all the blame on him while he was playing hurt for you.
Yeah.
Good for what he's doing in Tampa. He is gonna. Let me tell you, this is a guy that's gonna set his own. Now, I'm not telling you he's gonna be a $50 million quarterback. He probably won't, but he's gonna set his own price. He's really going to set his own price, and he signed a 1-year deal in Tampa, so he could go play football wherever he wants to next year. If he wants to stick in Tampa, whatever he seems like a Florida guy, like a guy that's happy in Florida. So wouldn't be surprised if he stays down there. Baker Mayfield, congratulations, good for you. Good for you for sticking it to everybody that doubted you.
Not to mention, people forget during camp there was a quarterback rate. Like it wasn't his job to get. He was competing against Kyle Trask for this position and beat him out, and then just went on this run and became him. And if you want to really look to someone to give them credit for, I mean, other than Baker Mayfield for digging
Don't
himself
say
out of the
Todd
hole.
Bowles.
No,
Don't say
no,
Todd
no,
Bowles.
no, 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 no. Sean McVay.
Yeah.
Sean McVay. He Baker went to the Rams mid-season last year, just kind of on a whatever. Carolina's not working for me, and then the Rams picked him up when they needed him most. Honestly, when Stafford got hurt, and then McVay was just like, "Listen, dude, I want you to be you. I want you to be Baker Mayfield. Play like I know you can." And then he did. He did great for the Rams last year, and then now he's here in Tampa playing his best football. And they said it more than once last night. He is as comfortable as he has ever been on a franchise. They also showed a graphic last night, which is kind of absurd to me. This man has played for more head coaches in a span of 6 years than anybody has in like the history of the NFL. I think he's played for like 6 or 7 head coaches, which is nuts. So you want to look at his inconsistencies, blame the non-stability he has at the head coaching position. It's not his fault. He's doing the best he can when you're, dealing with the revolving door of people calling the shots here, going from scheme to scheme.
100%.
Yeah, listen, I was at that Buccaneers-Packers game in Lambeau when they were just Buccaneers are just dotting the Packers defense up. And we all know what happened with the Packers. They went into Dallas and took care of business over there handily. And at that moment, I knew that Baker Mayfield has reinvigorated that Buccaneers franchise, that organization. Like a weak NFC South, understood, but how do you come in the first round of the playoffs against a team that is sliding, went like 2-6 down the stretch? Philadelphia did. Absolutely insane. Mike Evans was toasting the cornerbacks of the Eagles. James Bradbury, that's my sports saying here. He was the MVP last night, essentially, for the Buccaneers. Darius Slay was getting worked by Mike Evans. Listen, Baker Mayfield is doing anything and everything that he wanted. And now what happens in Philly? Like, all props to Baker Mayfield reinvigorating his career after debacle in Cleveland and how that was handled. Went and looked pretty decent for the Rams and signed a 1-year deal with the Buccaneers. Awesome for him. Happy for him. And he's probably most likely going to stay. I think I agree with you, Pasq. But the Eagles, man, a team and honestly turmoil at this point. Jason Kelce announcing his retirement.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni on the hot seat. I mean, that organization, as much as Nick Sirianni likes to run his mouth and as confident as he was after that Chiefs win, when he was like, "I don't hear you now," when he was going through that tunnel after the win. Well, we're going to see how he's handled, because that was an embarrassment to Philadelphia, how far and how drastically that team slid. And like I said, you see the mannerisms of the Eagles sideline during the game. Dallas Goedert pretty much having a few words for Jalen Hurts there. It's not good. That look is not good for the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're going to have some pretty big organizational changes, if I had to guess, this offseason.
That shit that Sirianni does is all fun and cute when you're winning.
When you're winning, when you're not winning,
that's not funny anymore.
Yeah,
it's like annoying, and yeah, I would say that these Eagle fans have seen enough. They've seen enough, and I don't blame them.
They're in big trouble here, especially with Kelce gone. Lane Johnson might be gone. Like their offensive line, which is kind of like, I don't want to say the backbone of this team, but the main reason why they were so good with the brotherly shove and whatnot was because of their offensive line. So if you're losing 2 to 3 guys who are big pieces of that offensive line, what the fuck are you going to do next year? Not to mention you already have a non-existent run game with what's his name from the Lions.
DeAndre Swift.
Yeah. You're going to be in big trouble next year. So I'm curious to see how they're going to bounce back here. I do think Sirianni probably coached his last game in Philly, as an Eagle, but I don't know. I don't
think so. Jay Glazer's saying that he's not getting fired.
You don't
Jay
think
Glazer's
so?
usually right about these things.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Two things here. One, Stevie Mack says in the comments, that's got to be rough for Kelce. He basically retired at the Super Bowl last year, and they convinced him to give it one more go. It's pretty easy to convince somebody when you give him a 1-year, $32 million deal. I think it's pretty easy to convince somebody to come in.
I still think he might.
$32 million?
I'm pretty sure it's 1 year, $32 million that they signed him for. Yeah, go look it up on Spotrac. I'm pretty positive that's what it was when he signed.
I also still think there's a chance he plays next year. I bet he wants to play with his brother somehow, and they'll probably find a way to make it happen.
How the
They look
Chiefs have a
good
great
too.
line. There's no room for him there.
That's true. I don't know.
That and
I want to know
second of
what's going to
all,
happen to Hurts. Like, not going to happen, but
sorry, it wasn't 32.
How
Sorry, it
much was
wasn't
it?
32.
Well,
It was. I'm not sure where I got the 32 from. Maybe it was incentives and stuff like that, but it wasn't even close to 32. It was 1 year. I think it was around 15, which is still pretty good,
still a lot of
anyways. Like
money.
for a
Still
lineman,
a
like
lot
that's
of
pretty.
money.
Yeah. Anyways, how did the Eagles get here? Like, I'm not saying like they look terrible for the second half of the season, absolutely. But you look at that Week 18 against the Giants, right? Um, AJ Brown goes down with a knee injury, sprained knee, horrible.
Oh,
And
so he
then
was hurt. I thought he
he
just
was
didn't
hurt.
play because he was
He
pissed
was
off
hurt at
about
Week
something.
18.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, AJ Brown's hurt Week 18 in that game. And I get that they were still, like, I guess playing for something if Dallas had lost against Washington in Week 18. But nonetheless, I'm not sure I play AJ Brown against the lowly Giants in Week 18. Second of all, Jalen Hurts as well hurt his finger, dislocated his finger in that Giants game. And he hadn't thrown a football from that Giants game until this week,
Yeah.
this NFL wildcard week. Like, you cannot have that if you're the Eagles. Like, there's got to be better decisions made from the top. Like, I understood you are still in a position to take the division with the Cowboys' loss in Washington. First of all, how feasible is that? Because obviously they didn't lose to Washington. I don't think anybody thought that they were going to lose to Washington. So I'm not sure why the Eagles thought so. At the expense of two of their star players that ended up being, and one, your franchise player who you just gave $200+ million to in Jalen Hurts couldn't even throw a football from Week 18 to the wild card week. Like, that's inexcusable. I'm sorry. Like,
Pat said
I
it
can't.
last weekend, or Pat said it last show. Something else is there, and I want to know what it is because he's the catalyst of that offense, and obviously we saw this skid. This skid's happening for a reason, and it's probably the main reason why. So he's probably really, really hurt, and something's going to come out in a couple of weeks and be like, yeah, he was playing with internal bleeding or something. Like it's going to be nuts.
But I mean, these are the things that happen when your offense, when your red zone scoring offense is centered around thrusting the quarterback through a pile of 300-pound men into the end zone. Like, things are going to go wrong. And I credit the fuck out of the Eagles. I mean, to me, that play should never leave football. That is perfectly legal. There's nothing wrong with it. Let me tell you something. Everyone in the NFL can run that. You don't have to do it with your quarterback. What's stopping you from lining your tight end or your fullback up under center and doing this very same thing? There is nothing wrong with that. The Eagles do it. Everyone can do it. Something's up. It's definitely an injury, and there's very clearly there's nothing. You can't tell me there's not a riff in this locker room right now. You cannot tell me there's not
on the sidelines.
There's not
on
there's
prime
not two
time
sides
television.
here.
Yep.
And after all of this, I really hope Darius Slay's okay, man. Darius Slay is a hell of a player. He's on the downturn of his career, but I loved him as a Lion. He's a fantastic player. I hope he's back next year.
And did you guys? Well, AJ Brown first and foremost was already sort of starting talking about mouthing off about how he was unhappy the last couple of weeks of the season. So I'm not sure if that was a Sirianni type thing, and I think we talked about on here that it was like Sirianni wasn't handling things with the utmost of seriousness, right, in terms of how the Eagles were trending. So that's something to definitely watch out for. And I know we're going to transition here, Lions and Rams talking. I don't want to steal your spotlight, Pass, because that's a huge win for you, and congrats. Did you guys talk already about the Packers? Because I want to shout out the Packers. The Packers need some love.
We did, but go for it. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I sat there and watched that. I was at a Packer bar, obviously with my girlfriend. She's a Packers fan. There was a lowly Dallas fan right next to me, and I just had to feel for him because that's how I was feeling when the Giants got shattered in Philadelphia last year. But nonetheless, Jordan Love, I cannot believe it. He's playing himself into the same sort of contract that Baker Mayfield played himself into, and it has played himself into. He sat on the pine behind Aaron Rodgers all these years, and he gets his opportunity to shine, and he doesn't let go. Absolutely insane win for the Packers, who have basically owned the Cowboys in the playoffs for many, many years now. No matter who's at quarterback.
5-1.
Exactly. And that offense, like that defense, I get it. It can look shaky at times. They held their own against a Dak-led Dallas team for what it's worth. A lot of questions about Joe Barry and that defensive coordinator there in Green Bay. But that offense, weapon after weapon after weapon. You talk about Wicks, number 13. I think he's John Tavius Wicks out of UVA. You talk about Romeo Dobbs, who got
Dobbs. Yep.
150 freaking yards. Romeo Dobbs is an absolute stud. Definitely their wide receiver one, and he was open right in the middle of the field on a lot of different reads for Jordan Love. You talk about Bo Melton. You talk about Luke Musgrave and the two-headed monster that they have at tight end now with
Tucker Kraft. Yeah, Tucker Kraft's a beast.
Absolute, like, I could not be like, I don't like the Packers, right? The Giants have a rich history with the Packers over the last decade, especially with Brett Favre back in 07, 08, with Aaron Rodgers,
Right.
11, 12. We all know that history. The Giants have fared pretty well against the Packers, and there's a little bit of a rivalry there. But I cannot be happier for Packers fans who have had to bear the brunt of that whole Aaron Rodgers saga and watching guys like Devontae Adams. And I don't feel bad for Packers fans for going through that because your Lions fan passed.
Packers fans have had it very. They've had a tremendous 30 years.
Quarterback after quarterback after quarterback.
Correct. But what I'm saying, though, in terms of how quickly that front office was able to maneuver, and I said it earlier this season when we were kind of like, are we riding this Packers wave? Are they legit or are they not? I'm not sure if you remember the conversations, Jerry, but I told you how they transitioned from Rodgers, Lazard, Scantling, Devontae Adams to a new look offense there in Green Bay behind Jordan Love is absolutely phenomenal.
I think
that's a classic win.
It's a different philosophy there because for so long it was the Aaron Rodgers show and obviously very pass heavy. You know, you're talking about games where you'd see, 40, 50 pass attempts, up and down. Now like let's see where they were at yesterday in this game. 21 pass attempts. I mean, Jordan Love was 16 for 21. That doesn't sound like a playoff stat line. But where they needed him most, he came through. 272, 3 touchdowns. Like that, this is a Packers team. Shout out to Jones here too. 21 rushes at 118 yards. That's 5.6 a carry. Like, this is a team that's transitioned from a heavy pass to a run-first offense. And they didn't have to look far, right? Right across the division. What does Detroit do, right? I love Jared Goff, but that's Detroit's bread and butter. Hand the ball off and allow your run game to set up the pass as opposed to, the other way around. We all talk about it being a passing league, and it is. But I'll tell you what wins you games in January. It's typically not your quarterback's arm. It's your ability to run the ball, control the clock, and keep the better quarterback on the other side. Keep him sitting down, staying cold. Like that's how you win playoff games.
We'll get into it, but that's what we saw in the second half in that Lions game. That's why it wasn't as high octane. Like the first half was so high octane offensively, and it was awesome to watch. And
but they were running. They were running the ball.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying in that second clock, though, we saw a lot more control of the clock. Like in that first half, me and my friends were texting me like, wow, we're really going to get Mahomes Goff like round 2 here. This is going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be ridiculous. And then everything just completely stalled in that second half. I think there was 6 total points maybe?
Second half of that game, I know Lions had 3. And
the Rams scored a touchdown, so 10 total points.
Yeah. It was 9 total points second half.
9.
The whole storyline of Sunday, Rams at Lions, was all about Matt Stafford, all about the return, coming back to Detroit. And I believe we said it here, Jerry. I know I said it on the Detroit show with Pavo.
It did Goff wonders.
This was the best thing for Jared Goff, but I'll tell you someone that nobody was talking about. This was the Josh Reynolds coming out party.
Yeah.
All right. This is a receiver that if you're not in the NFC North, you've never even heard of this guy before.
He barely made the team 2 years ago. He's a hard knocks guy.
Yes. He was a failed draft pick, essentially, not really failed, but they gave him a contract, didn't live up to it. They cut him midseason, goes to Tennessee. He gets cut there. The guy had 5 receptions at 80 yards, didn't score a touchdown, but that didn't matter. This guy, every time the Lions needed him and Amon-Ra St. Brown had the quietest, what was it, 190 yards you'll ever see in your life between the two guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7 receptions, 110 yards. This was a guy, every third down, he was open. and he's not a guy that's overbearing physically. He's not a guy that's going to jump over you. He's not going to win that 50-50 ball. But I would say that the Lions find ways to get him the ball, but I think St. Brown finds ways to get himself the ball, running those routes the way he does, and then fighting for the yards, fighting for all those yards. So so much credit to the Lions organization, top to bottom, from where we were 2-3 years ago to where we are now. And I think that this was a message to the rest of the NFL, especially the Rams, of like, this was Jared Goff saying, motherfucker, I could play. I could still play, right? I wasn't the problem there. In the immediate future, he looked like the problem. Rams won the Super Bowl, but Jared Goff definitely felt something playing this game. And
he was so young too when they got rid of him. Like obviously, like he played what,
he was
4 or
like
5
5 years
seasons,
into his career,
give or take. So like I don't want to say the best is yet to come, but he's probably hitting his prime, like that stride right about now. It's coming at the best time for the Lions. It's gonna work like magic. Like this is not the only time you're gonna be here. You guys are gonna be a force to be. If you retain Montgomery, you get I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna keep Goff around. Amon-Ra's not going anywhere. Like, if you keep the core of this team together, you got Sam Laporta, who's probably going to be locked down for the foreseeable future. Like, not to mention the line that you guys have. You guys are going to be I don't want to say turn you into a dynasty just yet, because you have to win one to even get
you
the
conversation.
You
got to win.
But like, you have the chance to become a playoff staple here and join the likes of that. I don't know if you guys saw the graphic yesterday, but like the top 5 teams in the most wins since like 2020. It's like the usual suspects. It was the Bills, it was the Chiefs, it was the Bengals, it was the Rams. And there was one other team in there. I can't remember who it was, but these teams, you guys have every right to join the likes of them. Very, very. Oh, it was the Buccaneers. That's who the other team was. But you guys are going to be among those ranks very, very soon. So the best is yet to come.
A lot of what I also said. With you could allow, like what we did with CeeDee Lamb, what we did with Jefferson, give them all the yards they want, keep them out of the end zone. I mean, they gave up that long touchdown pass. It was a 50-yard touchdown pass to Puka Nacua. 9 receptions, 181.
Who got his bell rung, by the way.
He got annihilated. But that's the point. Is the Lions defense are playing a bend don't break, and that's why they won. Chris, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, Stevie said it too. Props to Stafford. He did look banged up. It looked like he had one play where he literally got knocked out.
Stepped on.
Got absolutely trampled. Yeah. And but that was a great game. Pasq, how nervous did you get at the end, though? How nervous were you?
Very nervous. No, 100%. Very nervous. I was freaking out. I usually have my notepad next to me when I'm watching games, and I'll jot things down. Couldn't. I didn't have a steady hand. I was freaking out, and my wife said I drank about a bottle and a half of Buffalo Trace. So
they got Buffalo Trace at the resort. God
they
damn,
do.
Where
I had to pay
you?
for it. I'm at the Hard Rock. I had to pay for it, but well worth it. Well worth it.
There you go.
Greatest Lions game I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, man. I was high on the Lions. Like, we were all high on the Lions going into the season, especially with what we saw, the fight that they had last season. I think it was just a stepping stone for them. And I'm not sure this year's the end-all, be-all for you regardless, but I think that Jerry's right, absolutely, moving forward, that you all are going to be a force to be reckoned with. In the NFC, you get a couple of more pieces on the defensive side of the ball as well. Offense remains relatively consistent. I think you guys have all the weapons, maybe lacking – I suppose a true number one. I mean, you guys got Amon-Ra St. Brown, so like it's not even.
He puts up number one numbers.
Exactly. That's and that's what I'm saying. So I'm not even sure you need that, right? So the offense is in good shape. You got a 2-headed monster there in the backfield. Offense, like if it remains consistent, that's what you need. They can win a shootout with anybody. It's about stopping the other team, right? Like you said, bend but don't break, and that's what they've been doing. But if you can get a couple more pieces added on to that, I think you guys are true Super Bowl contenders. If not this year, if they can find a way to hit their stride here to go into the later part of the playoffs, then definitely next year and beyond. So
there is a path. I mean, there's a clear path for them to do it.
Absolutely.
I don't even think the Niners are a lock to beat the Packers. Like, I think that they will. Don't get me wrong. They should, right. And they will. They're playing at home. They've had a week of rest. But sometimes that week of rest doesn't help everybody. Sometimes it hurts you getting out of that rhythm. And if we know anything about the 49ers, they are not a team with depth. Their starters are better than anyone. But when those starters get hurt, the horses behind ain't too fast. So they need to really bank on the health of their team. There's an absolute path for the Lions to go to the Super Bowl.
And one thing I will say about that in terms of that game is that I don't think we covered it. I'm not sure what the status is of Jair Alexander. He did go down with it looked like a lower leg injury too. So that's going to be interesting to see if he comes back for that Niners game. But yeah, there is definitely a path. Would you have rather faced – I got to hop off here in a couple minutes. It was a pleasure joining you all for the 25 minutes that I did. But would you have rather faced – are you happy with this matchup, or would you have rather faced the Eagles? Like, did you have a preference there in terms of who won that game?
I wanted to play the Buccaneers because – the Eagles, as bad as they've been, they can always turn.
Exactly.
They could turn it right back on. They've got the stars. They've got the roster. I mean, this was a team that really underachieved. Like for a lot of this season, even when they were winning games, they were winning by 3-2. They were winning on awful calls. Dropped passes in the end zone, things like that. So they were riding luck all year, and it caught up to them in the end. The Buccaneers are a feisty team. I think we should beat them. We will. I believe we will beat them. It's a team we should beat. We're playing at home again, and let's see what happens. I'm sure we'll do a preview show at some point. I don't know when. We'll have to figure that out. Maybe, but we'll talk about that off air. Are you around in the morning while I have you here, Chris? Are you around in the morning this week or no?
What day specifically?
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday's a little bit more achievable for me. Friday I can make ends meet if need be, but let me know. Yeah, I can definitely hop on.
Right.
I honestly I can't go starting at 11 to 11:45. I'm out, but anytime before that, I'm good. So
he's on vacation and I'm off from work, so whatever time works.
Sweet, sounds good.
Do we have anything else here?
No,
I got nothing else. No,
Chris, why don't you plug your shit here before I always forget? Give it a plug.
Yeah, of course. Sounds good. I appreciate it. Giants season's over. We're going to be going all things off season with the New York Giants on the Feeling Blue podcast. New York Mets. I'm always repping my New York Mets. Got to talk about the off season, even if it hasn't gone to the likings of myself and other Mets fans so far. We're here to talk about it. We're here to talk about the team objectively. So I definitely appreciate that. Talking Knicks basketball as the basketball season keeps on, going. We'll see what the Knicks do before that February 8th trade deadline coming up. And obviously Blue Shirts banner with myself, Jerry here on the screen right in the middle. And we have Aaron from That's My Sports as well doing the Blue Shirts banner. That's always a blast to do. Rangers finally snapped their skid too, which was great against the Capitals team. It's ugly, but I'll take it, right? So, yeah, all that stuff going on my channel, Talking New York Sports, CP New York Sports, at CP New York Sports on YouTube, Instagram, and X. You know where to find me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Pasq.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you later this week. Stay in tune with our socials, Chris's socials. We'll let you know when we're going live again.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Be on the lookout for that blog that's coming for the divisional preview.
Let's go, Lions.
Yes, sir.